Hi everyone, welcome to the Alieness Crafts channel. My name's Lorraine and I'm coming to you from Kent in the UK. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I do hope that you find something that you enjoy to watch here, and please be aware that I try to leave timestamps in the description box below so you can jump around on the podcast according to what you want to listen to or watch. Also, I have show notes below, and there will be links to the other ways that you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram. All that in the description box below. To those of you that are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you've had a nice few weeks, and I have a few whips to share with you that I've started. I have some finished objects and I want to start a giveaway here as well on this channel. So let's jump straight into my finished objects. Okay, my first hat is a bit of a mishmash hat. I have used a mixture of different weights of yarn here, which I didn't realise until I'd finished. I have used a bulky weight yarn, otherwise known as chunky. I have used an Aran weight yarn, and I've used a double knit weight yarn. So this hat has kind of a varying kind of weight shift in it. The pattern was not any specific pattern. I just used some numbers from another pattern that I have in my library to come up with the dimensions. So we'll ignore that for the moment, and I improvised a bit of colour work here. But in terms of the yarn, so I used a mixture of the bulky weight yarn was the mohair, which I have alternated skeins with the Aran weight yarn, which is the Crofter Tweed yarn by West Yorkshire Spinners. So I've alternated skeins for the bomb bit between the mohair yarn and the Crofter Tweed yarn to come up with this, and it looks quite nice, I think. I mean, I can't tell where the two yarns are. I can't tell that there's two different yarns in this section. Then I have slightly run out or run short of the mohair, and I've started alternating the Crofter Tweed yarn in this pattern work, colour work section here with the DK weight yarn. And the DK weight yarn is from B&M stores in the UK, and so is the mohair yarn, but they're different weights, and so to try and get around the weight issue, which I didn't realise that I had totally different weights going on here. I just thought they were slightly thicker. Because on the yarn label it doesn't actually tell you what weight the yarn is, it just tells you what needle size to use. And I obviously didn't really, I didn't take the time to look up what weight that yarn was for the specific needle size, and I think that's kind of where I went wrong a bit. But anyway, so I've got double knit up the top here. I completed the hat with a double knit yarn. So I've done a bit of colour work here, and I can't really tell you what the pattern was because I was just improvising as I went along, and I don't think I can recreate it, but I think it looks okay. The thing that I find with this is because the hat consists of different weights of yarn, and I've gone straight from like an Aran weight yarn here up to a double knit yarn. This is colour work. It's slightly tighter around this section of the hat than this section. So I'll show you the inside. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to really tell from the camera, but can you see how floppy this bit is? Hopefully you can see how relaxed this bit is, and this is a lot more rigid because there's two different types of yarn in there for one, and they're different weights. So yeah, it's kind of taught me a bit of a lesson in not mixing weights to that extreme, because like I said, I've gone from using a bulky weight with an Aran weight with a DK weight, and the three different weights. Although the hat fits okay, it's got a kind of a feel like it's, I don't know, I can just tell that it just feels slightly different. It fits nicely. I think it looks cute enough, and I think somebody will appreciate the hat, but I think in future I will pay a little bit more attention to the weights of yarn that I decide to mix together in one project. But that is the first hat. My next finished object is this cute little Barley hat. The pattern is by Tin Can Knits. It's a very easy beginner type pattern. If you can do garter stitch and you can do the knit stitch, stocking stitch even, then you'll be able to do this hat. It's got a simple 1x1 rib, garter stitch panel, and then we've got the stocking stitch side here. So this is I will leave the information for the pattern in the description box below. It's the Barley hat pattern by Tin Can Knits, and that one is specifically for DK weight yarns. There is another pattern which is exactly the same as this, but it's for a lighter, I think it's for fingering weight yarn, and that is the Barley light hat pattern. So don't mix up the two. So this one, because I'm using a DK weight yarn, I've used the Barley pattern, and this is what it looks like. The yarn I've used here is Garn Studio Drops Merino Extra Fine yarn, and the label looks like this. And the colourway is Amethyst, and I really like this yarn because you should be able to see here the stitches are so clearly defined. It just makes the item look really professional. It's very tidy. I really love the way that it works. It is I think it's it's merino. I think it's 100% merino. Let me just check the label. Where is it saying that? Superwash, 100% wool. So it's superwash treated extra fine merino wool, 100% merino, and it is really lovely and soft. And because it's a commercial yarn, I guess I feel like it's more what's the word? It's more suitable for baby clothing. And anyway, this yarn, I'm rambling, this yarn was left over from another project that I worked on, and so I decided to just use up that last bit of yarn and make a little baby hat, and that is that one out of my stash. So I've managed to finish that little bit of yarn. I have a bag that I'm filling up slowly with things that I've made, where I'm using up scrap yarns, and I just decided to knit stuff from stash, not knowing who they're going to. I'm filling up a bag so that I can make gifts of the stuff that I knitted for Christmas or for other occasions. But I've decided to kind of like the scraps that I'm using up, I'm just making accessories with them and then putting them all in a bag, and then I'll decide who they go to as the occasion arises. And that's been my kind of strategy in using up my odd bits of yarn, yarn left over from projects even. So just to let you know what I'm kind of thinking and what my plans are. So yeah, so that is the Barley hat. I just went off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't I? Next up is a pair of socks I've finished. So let me just get these to show you. These are the socks I have finished up. These are made using hand-dyed yarn from Third Vault Yarns, and that's her label. She's based in the UK, and this is Companion. It's called Companion 4-ply. It is the colourway Blast Ended Scroot, which is, I think, a reference to a creature from one of the Harry Potter novels, and the yarn is 100% superwash merino. It's a very soft yarn. It's got a kind of a spiraling colour to it, spiral colourway. It's a mixture of greys, blacks, and a kind of a rust colour. I'll show you the other side. That's what they look like. There we go. And you can probably see these are way too big for my sock blockers because they are intended for my brother, who has rather large feet. And because they're for him, I decided to knit these socks using 72 stitches. So I followed my usual vanilla sock recipe for these, which is basically I use a 2.25mm needle, and I work with 9-inch circulars. I'd like to do a heel flap and gusset, which is what we have here, with a slip stitch heel and a gusset, and then I just do an ordinary, I think that is called a wedge toe, Correct me if I'm wrong. And that is it. And then a 2x2 rib for the cuff. So that's what I've done here. And my brother hasn't seen these yet since they've been completed, but I'm hoping that they fit him because they do feel a little bit on the big side. But I started these because I wanted to do, I wanted to start working on the yarn for one, but for two, Ali from the Little Drops of Wonderful is hosting a Strictly Sock Along make along. And it is so much fun. You really should go over and check it out. I will try and remember to leave a link to the sock along in the description box below. It is so much fun, and I wanted to take part this year. They did it last year, and it was a lot of fun reading the entries and reading the chatter thread. You can have such a giggle over there, and so I wanted to take part this year. So this is my first entry. I'm hoping that I get to make more than one pair of socks for that sock along. But even if I don't, I will just continue to watch the threads. They are so funny, so much fun. Do go and check them out. So that is my penultimate finished object. You can probably see here the last one I have behind me. I just finished this yesterday, and this is, I'm calling it my old Shale blanket. So the old Shale blanket, I found the pattern for this on Ravelry. I was flicking through, I had some yarn. Basically, I started a project a while back, and I was making a top for my daughter. And I had bought this yarn to make the top. It's Karen Cakes yarn, Karen Cotton Cakes yarn, and this is the colour Rose Whisper, and it looks like this. And I wanted to make a nice little cotton top for my daughter, and I started crocheting it out for her. I had 2 balls of the yarn, and I started crocheting it out for her, and I showed it to her, and I was showing her and saying, you know, do you like it, what do you think? And she was saying yes, she liked it. And then when it got literally about half of the body, she said she didn't like it. So then I've ripped it back, and I decided to do something else with it, but I was trying to find ideas for what to do. So I went on Ravelry and I checked out projects made using this same colourway and yarn, and I came upon a Raveller called Hannahlv, and she had done a blanket using exactly the same colour, she came up with this blanket pattern basically, and I'm calling it the old Shale blanket. And it uses an old Shale stitch, which is like a fan kind of stitch, but this is what it looks like. Here's a close-up of it. That's what the stitch looks like. She gave all the information on her Ravelry page, which I found really, really helpful. So thank you so much, Hannah, whether you're watching this or not. I want to give you the credit for that. And it's basically garter stitch at the bottom, a couple of rows of garter stitch to start off at the bottom, then you go into the old Shale stitch, but on the edges you do garter stitch edging as well, so you've got a nice edging as you go. And that is it basically until you get to the length you desire, and then you do a garter stitch at the top. Now admittedly I don't think my garter stitch at the top is very neat, but it will do. My blanket is quite a big size. I'm hoping that it will be a nice baby blanket, and I'm really, really pleased with it. It feels really nice. It's very lightweight. It is cotton. I was kind of toying with the idea of whether or not to maybe stitch a bit of fleece onto the other side, the wrong side of it, to make it a warmer blanket, but I'm kind of not really wanting to do it, thinking that maybe that'll make it too heavy. Maybe a lighter weight blanket is what someone, you know, the person who gets it will enjoy. I don't know. At the moment I've kind of decided not to add the fleece to it, just because it's a nice lightweight blanket, but I'm not sure. So anyway, so that is my last finished object. For this I've used 4.5mm needles, which worked out fine, and it's quite a nice loose gauge, nice fabric, it's got a nice drape to it. I really like it. I actually would love to do something like this in a massive size, because I felt like I could just keep it for myself. But the idea with this project was I had the 2 balls of yarn, and I thought I wanted to just use them up. So I thought I'd just use the blanket, because I couldn't think of another way to use the yarn. So I started the blanket, then I realised I needed a couple more skeins of yarn. And instead of just buying another 2 skeins of yarn, I went and bought another 4. So now that I've finished working on the blanket, I am still left with the original 2 skeins of yarn. So now I'm trying to decide, what do I do with these 2? I'm back to where I was to start with. Maybe I should just buy another 2 and make another blanket, and then hopefully that will be the end of these. But I also have, where I was trying to make sure that the colours were consistent, a couple of odd bits of yarn. So not quite sure what to do with these, because it doesn't quite go in sequence of the pattern. But yeah, I have a couple of skeins left over, and I'm trying to decide what to do with these. I'm thinking I could just make a square blanket, but not quite sure. Maybe I need to just buy another 2. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So that is it. Yeah, those are my finished objects. I have been working on, I have quite a few whips since I was getting close to the end of some of these finished objects, and I went on a bit of a cast on frenzy. So yeah, let's move into whips. So the first whip I have to share with you is being stored in my True de Rose bag, which is this one, and it is my cross stitch project. I am working on the Bee Bunny cross stitch, and I have been inspired to get back on this because I came across a podcast called Married with Stitches, I think it is, and it's a lovely couple on there. They both are avid cross stitchers. They have so many whips on the go, and they are so talented. I absolutely am enjoying watching them. I'm loving watching them. The way they are on the camera is really, I don't know, it's lovely to watch. They just seem to be really nice people, and they are very, very good at cross stitching. And I started watching. I think they've only uploaded 2 videos so far, but they've got quite a good following, and they seem to be very experienced with their cross stitching, and I'm really enjoying watching them and following them. I don't know, something is just drawing me to watch them. They're very entertaining to me, so they have inspired me to get back on my cross stitch and just work at it slowly. And also I'd like to say thank you to Linnea, who's known as Crafting Trooper, and she has kind of reminded me when I posted a picture on my Instagram account of my cross stitch project, and I made a comment that it's very slow. I do feel a little bit frustrated at times that it takes so long to get any work on this to show up, and she reminded me that I'm supposed to just be enjoying the process and not trying to rush everything, which is what I have a tendency to do. I seem to start things and want to just get through them pretty quickly because I want the end product, and that's with my knitting and my crocheting, and that seems to be, I'm trying to kind of, I feel like I'm transferring that desire into my cross stitch, but cross stitch is a lot slower for me, and so she reminded me that I should just enjoy it. Just enjoy what I'm doing. It will take a longer time to do it, but just enjoy the process. So thank you for that, Linnea. I have tried to, every time I get to look at my cross stitch and I feel a little bit frustrated with it, I'm like, just remember what Linnea said, just enjoy the process. It's meant to be a fun, enjoyable hobby. It's not meant to be something that's going to stress me out and make me want to just get it finished and be done with it. So yes, so that's the kind of mind frame that I'm trying to keep myself in. So anyway, after all of that rambling, I will insert a picture of what it looked like last time so you have some idea. And this is where I am at with my cross stitching at the moment, in case you haven't seen my Instagram. So I've managed to put a butterfly on here. I did go a little bit wrong with the stitching. Not sure if you can see that. It's got some kind of shimmer in the yarn, in the thread, I'm not sure if it's translating. I can see it. Hopefully you can see it on camera. I can't see it at the moment from my viewfinder. But this one has a little bit of sparkle in it. I wanted to add the butterfly because I felt like I want something to look different on here when I'm working on it, so I feel like I'm making progress, because I've done a lot of work around here on the ears. I filled in the ear section and I did a little bit down here, but it's not really that obvious when I just pick it up and look at it that, hey, oh, there's a new, you know, I've done something else to this. Whereas having the butterfly, it kind of points out to me, you've done something else, you've got something new on there. So I gave that a try. I'm quite pleased with it. I do need to do the back stitching, but I think I'm kind of trying to decide whether I back stitch some of the project now or whether I wait until the very end and do the back stitch all in one. If you are cross stitchers, let me know what you do. Do you tend to complete the project and then do the back stitching, or do you kind of do back stitching as you go along? I'm tempted also to put the little eye in. So you see here, there's the eye. I'm tempted to just put the eye on there, because it feels like it is a little bunny then. At the moment it feels like it's just some weird shape on my Ada. So yeah, this is where I'm at anyway. I've been making progress on it. I enjoyed doing it, but it did take me a good half a day of work just to complete the ear section and do that butterfly. So it is something that takes a while, but I'm enjoying the way it's looking. It is actually looking good. I think at one stage I actually feel like I was crossing my yarn over the, my thread over the wrong way. I think that I've watched YouTubers who say that when you're working cross stitch, when you're doing the cross, make sure that you always finish off the cross in the same way. So if you start off going from that way to there and then you end up by there to there, the next stitch you do should be the same, that way, then there to there, and you just continue the same way. You don't finish off your stitch in a different direction, otherwise the way that it looks when it's finished will kind of be a bit varied. And I kind of, looking at it, I'm getting the impression that I haven't actually done that in some parts. I'm not sure if you can see. It feels like I've gone in a different direction at some stage, but I don't know. It could just be my eyes, but it does feel like I've gone in the wrong direction with a few of the stitches. So I'm going to have to pay a bit closer attention to that. But yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. This will be put away for a while I concentrate on some of my knitting. But I am enjoying doing this. I make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind to do the cross stitching, because I don't want it to be a chore. So I want it to be fun and an enjoyable project to work on. So if I get tired or fed up with it, then I decide, okay, last stitch, put it down, have a break from that, because I don't want to mess it up. I want it to be something that I actually want to display later on. So yeah, so that is where I am with the cross stitch. Next up is my little boxy cardigan. I can't remember if I showed this on the last podcast, but last video even. I decided to start off my little boxy by Hohi Locatelli. That's what it looks like for my daughter. So the yarn that I am using is Hi Ho Silver by Woolly Mama Yarns, and it's a 4-ply fingering weight yarn, and it's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and that's the information on the back there. And this is what it looks like in a ball off my ball winder. So I have got up to the point where I am now. I've divided for front and back, and I've put it down for a while. So I've got this far. I've done quite a bit of it. It is curling at the bottom because the rib is quite a small bit of ribbing. So it's 1x1 rib here, and then it's stocking stitch, which makes it an easy project. So that's what it looks like. I actually thought the pooling looks really interesting here. So you wouldn't really realise that that first section, all up to about here, all of this is one ball of yarn. And because it looks so different, the pooling is so different here, but it's one ball of yarn. And then I've gone on to ball number 2, and we've got a different, oops, pooling. It's really difficult to show you because I'm working on, actually let me just take this out, that's probably easier. There we go. That would make a bit more sense, wouldn't it? Right, that's a bit easier. That's where we're at. So the pooling is really interesting. I have made sure that my daughter still likes it. She did want an oversized cardigan, jumper actually. I was thinking it looks huge. It looks like it would fit me, but when I put it close to her, it would be an oversized jumper. She wants a real oversized jumper, so that's why I chose the boxy. And it's meant to have quite a lot of ease to it, but it does look really, really big. What's the ease? Does it even say? It's meant to be a lot bigger than it is, so it's different amounts of positive ease are recommended depending on the sizes. Sizes are generous, so the sweater can fit your little girl for a longer time. It's designed to be a little bit cropped, so that's where we're aiming with this project. Oversized and cropped. Not sure if she's going to want it a short jumper, because she has been kind of pointing out that she wants something slightly longer, but I'm aiming for the shorter jumper because I've only got, I think I bought four skeins of yarn, or hanks of yarn. It should be enough to do that and the sleeves. This is ball number 2 and I've still got that much left in there. It's still quite a lot here. And then once I've finished the front bit, which is the bit that I'm working on here, then I guess I move on to the back, and then I've got sleeves. So I think I should have some left over, and I'll probably be able to make some socks if I'm lucky. So yeah, that's where I am with the little boxy. I've put it down for a while because I've been concentrating on my next whip, which I will show you in a second. And by the way, this is being housed in my woolly ferret bag from Lisa, and she gave this to me about a year ago, I think, and that's her logo. She doesn't actually sell these, but she's really wonderful at making bags, and I got this from her. It was a lovely gift. So yeah, the needle size I'm using, I think the pattern calls for 3mm needles, and because I know my gauge is slightly tighter, I've gone up to 3.75mm needles for the body, and that seems to be fine. Slightly bigger, obviously the jumper's oversized anyway, but that seems to be working fine. And yeah, we shall see. It's a kind of a TV kind of knitting project, because I can just do that while I'm watching the TV. So yeah, it's one of those kind of mindless knitting projects at the moment, at this stage. So that's my little boxy. My next whip is my Vertices Unite by Stephen West. I've made this one before, and that's what it looks like. Let's see if I can get a picture of the finished. There we go. This is the finished shawl. That's what it looks like. And I've only started this. I'm only on the first section. I had some yarn that I wanted to use and in my stash, and so with the label, it's this beautiful green. It's called Forest Walk, this yarn. It's by Felt Fusion, and it's got mixtures of green and brown. There you go, that's probably better. And it's also a sparkle yarn, which I didn't realise until I'd kind of got part way through the project. So that's that. This is the label. It's a singles superwash merino sparkle 4-ply yarn. Hopefully you can see that. And it is by Felt Fusion. That's their label. And I'm mixing that with Gone to Earth by Biff Sugar yarns. I've used this in a previous project. I think it was in the other Vertices Unite I used this, and I felt that the two colours would go really well together because this has got brown in it already. And this is where I'm at. I'm using a 3.5mm Chalgu needles, circulars. I don't really need to use circulars, but I like the length. This is, the whole project is garter stitch. So it's very easy. It makes a lovely squishy fabric. Is that the right side I'm showing you? Yeah, that's the right side of it, of the work. I'm really loving the way it's working up. And that's where I am. And I'll show you quickly the wrong side. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this one, but I've put this one on hold because I started another whip. I've been a little bit whip crazy the last couple of weeks, so I wanted to start all the yarns I've got in my stash, start using them, and so that's what I've done. And that is a fingering weight project, as well as the other one. The little boxy was fingering weight as well. So I've got 2 fingering weight whips on the needles, and my last whip is a DK weight whip. So I am working on a project I've done before, or a jumper I've done before, and it's called Edgartown Light, and it's by Alicia Plummer, and it's just an ordinary jumper with a split hem and V-neck shaped. This picture doesn't really do it justice. I'll try and insert a picture of the one that I've done previously. I did it more than a year ago now, so you can see what it's meant to look like, because this picture is not the best picture for this jumper. Anyway, so I am using the needles. It tells me to use are 4.5mm circulars, and I think I'm using, what am I using? I'm using 5mm because, again, as I said before, my gauge is usually tighter, so I go up a needle size so I can get gauge. The yarn I'm using is a Biff Sugar yarn. It is a 75% 75/25 superwash merino nylon yarn, and the colourway is Cove. That's the information there. And it looks like this. It's a lovely blue speckled yarn with brown and a little bit of green in places. And that's what it looks like. I'm really loving it. It's so soft and squishy, and it is working up a treat. So I have worked, the top is a top down jumper, and I've done the top section, and I'm now on the body. So this is where I'm at. I've separated for sleeves, and I'm on the body working in the round, and that's where I'm at now. And I'm really loving the way the yarn is working up. I've tried it on and it fits lovely, fits beautifully, and I am really happy with this. I haven't had any problems with this so far. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, except that in the jumper that I made before, I feel like that was a size bigger than this one. I decided to go down a size because that jumper is quite big since it's been washed, and I feel like if this one gets bigger, then fine, it'll still fit really nicely. But I'm kind of trying to decide whether or not to go up a size in the sleeves, because I felt that sometimes the sleeves can be a bit tight in the jumpers, and the one that I've done previously, the sleeves fit fine. They're perfect fit for me. So this being a size smaller, the sleeves on this one for this measurement might be a bit small, so I may just go up to the sleeve size for the size up, and that would mean I'd have to increase the stitches here and make the sleeves slightly bigger, so I may do that. Also, I've only got 4 skeins of this yarn, or 4 hanks of this yarn, and hopefully it's literally just about enough. I've got 984 yards of this colourway in stash, and the pattern calls for 980 yards, so technically I should have enough, but I do know that I tend to like the body of my jumpers to be longer, so I may have to forfeit some length in the sleeves, but we shall see what happens when we get to that point. Wish me luck. So that's where I'm at with my Cove jumper, my Edgartown Light, and yeah, I've been enjoying working on this because it's quite a quick knit, and it's just all plain sailing from here on. It's just a stocking stitch right the way down until I get the length I want, and then I go up to the cardigan, I go up to the sleeves, work the sleeves, and then I suppose I can decide on the cuffs and the hem, decide what to do there. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Those are my works in progress, all done. So, since I don't have any incoming to share with you this time round, I am going straight into the giveaway, and this giveaway is going to be for the Country Garden collection. This was kindly donated by Ellie Jones of the Craft House Magic podcast. She has donated a copy of the complete collection, so thank you, Ellie, for that. That's really, really kind of you. So the collection consists of the cowl, the Country Garden cowl, the Country Garden fingerless mittens, and the Country Garden beret. If you would like to be in with a chance of winning this, I need you to, in the comments section below this video, let me know what is your favourite thing to knit for gifting. What is your favourite thing to knit for gifting? Just leave your comments with that in the comment section below, and you will be entered to win this pattern prize. I do have another pattern that I will be, that has been donated to the podcast, that I will be doing a giveaway for later on, but this is going to be the first one. So to get your entries in, leave your comment section, leave your answer in the comment section telling me what your favourite thing for gifting is, your favourite thing to knit for gifting. Leave that in the comment section below, and I will choose a lucky winner to win a copy of this pattern. So yeah, that is it. I think that's all I've got going on. I've done my finished objects, my whips, that is my giveaway, and yeah, I will be off now, and I'll be back in about a month's time to share with you the winners of the giveaway, and probably announce a new giveaway. So if you've enjoyed seeing what I've been working on over the last few weeks, then do give me some thumbs up so that I know, or leave some comments in the description box, in the comments section, sharing with you, sharing with me your thoughts on what I've been working on, any suggestions you have, and just saying hi if you want to just say hi. So I'm going to go for now, and see you in a few weeks' time. Bye for now.